Beach, W295BJ Jupiter, W223CJ West Palm Beach.
Good morning, I'm Earl Stewart. I welcome you to Earl Stewart on Cars, a live talk show all about how to buy, lease, maintain, or repair your car without being ripped off by a car dealer. With me in the studio is Nancy Stewart, my wife, co-host, and a strong consumer advocate, especially for our female listeners. We also have Rick Kearney, an expert on how to keep your car running right. I dare you to ask a question that Rick can't answer about the mechanics or electronics of your car. Also with us is my son, Stu Stewart, our link to cyberspace through Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Periscope. Stu is also the Spy Master Director of our Mystery Shopping Report. He dispatches our Secret Shopper weekly to an unsuspecting South Florida dealership. And now, on with the show.
Hey, how about that? That was my new introduction. We're just trying to figure out how I did. I guess I'll give myself a C+. I think I can tweak that a little bit, but anyway, my name is Earl. I'm a recovered car dealer. My voice you just heard on the introduction, and I kind of told you what the show's all about. I've already introduced everybody. We've got a room full of experts, basically, that are going to help you how to learn how to avoid being ripped off by a car dealer. We've been on the air for like 15 years. I mentioned the Mystery Shopping Report in the introduction, and it's really the highlight of our show. We have a particularly interesting Mystery Shopping Report this morning, and we get to it typically in the last half hour of the show, and that's between, 9:30 and 10.
That's right.
And I'll give you a little hint. We shop the largest retailer of used cars probably in the world, certainly in the United States, CarMax. And it was a very, very interesting report. And I'm hoping that we can have a colleague, and I use the term, I flatter myself to say that Rosemary Shahan is a colleague, but she's probably the most prominent auto consumer advocate in the world, really. I mean, Rosemary Shahan, she's the president of Consumers for Auto Reliability and Safety, CARS, C-A-R-S acronym. Consumers for Auto Reliability and Safety. And she is the mother of the lemon law. Years ago, when everybody else was, I don't know what they were doing, Rosemary was thinking about how I can help people avoid being ripped off by car dealers. And she came up with the concept of the lemon law. And she established it in California many years ago, and all the other states, all other 49 states copied her. So she's my hero, and I call her a colleague. She's called me, and I've called her from time to time over the years. I just wish we had the type of consumer advocacy, what is the word, cooperation in Florida that she has in California. California is a wild, wild state. If any of you been out there, it's a crazy state. All different kinds of folks out there, huge. It's almost like it's a country all by itself. And yet Rosemary has really reined in the car dealers. They have a dealer fee out there, but it's a fixed amount. They have to call it a dealer fee. They can't change it. They have to disclose it. And so, therefore, it's harmless. A small amount, around $75, I think, last time I checked. But she does things like that. And the car dealers out there, when they get on the line, bam. They go to the slammer, they get fined, they get closed down. So Rosemary Shahan hopefully will call in. It's awfully early, 3 hours earlier in California. And I sent her an email this morning. She's probably still sleeping. She should be. I'll text her a little while later in the show and ask her to check her email. And I told Rudy in the control room, if Rosemary Shahan calls in, put the call through, because we're talking about CarMax. And CarMax is, as I say, the largest retailer of used cars. Rosemary went after CarMax and General Motors. Rosemary doesn't mess around with the little guys. She goes after the big guys. And she went to the Federal Trade Commission and said, CarMax is violating the rules, the spirit of the law, and the letter of the law by not disclosing Takata airbags and selling their used cars. I think in California they were selling about 25 or 30% of every car CarMax sold had a defective Takata airbag. Boy, she went after them. Sadly, she lost. I think it was politics. And CarMax is continuing. They're claiming to disclose the Takata airbag, but they don't. But that's pretty much why I'm excited about the show this morning. and hopefully you're excited. We invite all of you to call in, 877-960-9960. Love to have you call the show, especially our lady callers. We really try to persuade them to call because they're very interesting. They have a whole new light and insight into buying cars. 877-960-9960. And if you haven't listened to the show before, Nancy Stewart has got a little pleasant surprise for you ladies out there that are listening but are not calling yet.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Another exciting show, just like Earl just said. And for the ladies, we have $50 for the first 2 new lady callers. Remember, ladies, over half of all the cars that are sold in the United States, well, we take part in 80% of that purchase, and we are powerful. Women are doing more, they're more involved today, and they have a whole lot to say, which leads me to ask you, share. Whatever you have to say, share. Let your voice be heard. Give us a call. You can win yourself $50. That's $50, whether you want to share your story or just say hello. 877-960-9960. And also, if you'd like to text us to vote on our mystery shopping report, you can do so at 772-497-6530. Now back to the recovering car dealer.
I want to talk a little bit more about Rick Kearney because Rick, I know him very well, and he's worked for me for over 20 years. Is it 25 now?
Pretty close to it, yep.
25. He's a certified diagnostic master technician. I don't know how to explain how knowledgeable he is. I challenge you to call, text, email, whatever, and ask Rick any kind of a question about the mechanics or electronics, the computerization of your car. Cars are complicated today. I'm also a car dealer in full transparency and disclosure. Been a car dealer for over 50 years, and in my dealership, one of the most common problems we have today with selling cars is the complexity, especially of the electronics. How do I pair my Bluetooth with my sound system? I have problems every day. Nancy Stewart has problems with her car. We all have problems with our car because of the complexity.
I got a few.
Stu has a few.
Yes.
So if you have anything that's frustrating you, especially if you have a late model car, that's one of the reasons I think some people hesitate to buy a late model car because you almost have to go to school to learn how to operate it. You call and ask Rick any question about your car, and he will be able to help you. Another thing that Rick can help you with is, what do I really need to do to my car to maintain and repair it? It is very difficult to tell when you go into a service department today, because the service department, be it a car dealer or an independent garage, they're going to tell you, this is what we recommend you do. And oftentimes, they will recommend a lot more than you need to have done. Today's cars are remarkably maintenance-free. In fact, a lot of the manufacturers now are giving free maintenance for 2 years, 3 years, or even 4 years to your car. So don't overspend when you pull into the service drive. Rick can help you with some of those questions. And we'd love to have you jump online, Facebook, Earl Stewart on Cars. You go to facebook.com/Earl on Cars. Facebook.com/Earl on Cars, and you can post. Rick?
And one other very important website, one that I wish we didn't have to have it, but we need it. www.safercar.gov. I recommend everyone go to that website, put in your VIN number for your car, your friends' cars, your family's cars, and check to see if there are any open recalls on your car. This is a federal government site, and it will quickly check to see if there's any open recalls at all. And as a matter of fact, there are apps you can download now for free for Android and Apple that you simply scan your license plate with your phone, and it will automatically check your VIN number to see if there are open recalls. It only takes a couple seconds to do it.
Something you really have to do. We mystery shop, as I said earlier, every week, and 99.9% of the time, the car dealers will not disclose this to you. They will say that you can, when you catch them or you ask the question, they may disclose it. But if you don't ask the question and they have a car with a defective recall of any kind, Takata airbag or otherwise, they're going to sell you the car, and they are absolved of any responsibility. So if you don't do it yourself, the place you buy the car from is not going to tell you. It'll be somewhere in the Carfax report. It'll be on the safercar.gov report, and it'll even be on the website of the manufacturer. You can check with the manufacturer of the car, but it's up to you, buyer beware. We got a lot of text and posts coming in already. Stu, are those Facebook posts?
We have text coming in on our text line. We have some on YouTube already, and then we got a really long one. I could probably get through it pretty quickly. It came in last week on Facebook.
Let's do it.
All right. It's from Mark. He doesn't want us to use his last name, but he's in Lake Worth. He says, I'd like to tell you about my car buying experience at Ed Morse Delray Toyota. It was a 2-day experience which took a total of 11 hours. I did my homework by researching a new 2018 Avalon on KBB in Edmonds. Thanks to you, I was aware of dealer fees. I went on a Wednesday afternoon when the showroom was really quiet. The salesman was pleasant and low-keyed. I told him I wanted a 2018 Avalon XLE. He told me he could probably get me one, but the difference between an 18 and a 19 is only $175. He insisted we test drive the car and pointed out the new technology and other features. He asked if we liked it and would be ready to make a deal. I told him we were ready to negotiate, and if we get the right price, we might make a deal. Then he asked what it would take to make the deal. We told him first to take off $100 from the 18 to the 19. He said he would have to speak to his sales manager. I told him if he wants to sell a car today, the sales manager would need to sit at the table with us, otherwise we're leaving. Immediately he came over, sat down, and took off the $100. Then I told him there's never an incentive on the Avalon, and I need an incentive. He played with his calculator and then offered another $1,500 off. Next, I asked to see the invoice, which showed the dealer fee of $800. I think he's talking about probably a buyer's order. Showed the dealer fee of $800.
$7.99, I believe.
$7.99.99. I told him I knew that was his profit. He said people are in business to make money. I told him we could get closer to making a deal if we could split the dealer fee and continue to negotiate. The sales manager said, okay. Then I asked him to give me the 4 rubber Avalon floor mats valued at $300. He said he couldn't do that because he was close to his profit point.
Yeah, that's an add-on that they put on after they advertise the price, yeah.
That is correct. We reviewed the invoice and found another $200 off from fees. Now I told him we had an '08 Avalon with 56,000 miles, very clean, in excellent condition. He went out to look at it, started it up, didn't drive it, and he offered us $6,500.
If you just tuned in, this is Delray Ed Morse Mazda, Ed Morse Delray Mazda in Delray, Florida.
This is
Toyota.
I mean, yeah. Why do I keep saying Mazda?
I
don't know.
You got Mazda on the brain, and this is from a listener named Mark in Lake Worth. He offered us $6,500. I told him we were leaving and going to a car buying place. He said, well, what do you want for it? On KBB in Edmonds, retail price was $7,550. He played with his calculator and said if we make a deal today, he could give us $7,550. We said, okay. He said leave him a $500 refundable deposit because he needs to get the car from another place. He said come back tomorrow at 1 p.m. and the car and paperwork would be ready. We agreed and left after 4 hours. The next day I called to confirm that the car was there and ready. It was, and we arrived at 1 o'clock. As we went to test drive the car, the sales manager calls the salesman and tells him, don't leave the parking lot because it's the wrong model. When we came back into the showroom, the sales manager apologized and said we should finish the paperwork and payment, and we could come back tomorrow and they would deliver it to our house, or they would deliver it to our home. We said no. I told him to get the car right or the whole deal is off. He said it would take about 90 minutes. I said fine, we would wait. After 90 minutes, no car. I told him my time is worth something too. If he wanted me to pay for the car when it arrived, he would have to give me the 4 car mats and put it in writing and initial it on the contract. He did. After another 90 minutes, he came over to apologize and told me it would be another half hour and offered us $200 to go out to dinner. I told him to take the $200 off the price of the car or we're out the door. He did, and I made him put it in the contract and initial that too. After 3.5 hours, the car arrived. They cleaned it, we drove it, and spent 90 minutes doing the paperwork where we found 2 more mysterious fees that needed to be omitted.
Oh, jeez.
Finally, I asked for my new insurance ID paper, which they promised yesterday to get. They proceeded to take us to their insurance representative, who said she knew nothing about getting this for us, but told us she could get it within 15 minutes. She did. The salesman felt so badly about what had happened, he offered to come to our home the next day to go over the special tech features. He did come by, and when he attempted to connect the Bluetooth with our phones and Apple CarPlay, he had to call Toyota in California for assistance. He was with us about 90 minutes until everything was connected properly. He also had to return 3 days later to bring the floor mats, which had to be ordered. This goes to show that knowledge, persistence, and good negotiation skills paid off. I hope you found my story interesting. And,
Yeah.
Well, I did.
Yeah, it was interesting, and that was a long one, but I think it was productive.
Thank you.
If you just tuned in the last hour, this was Ed Morris Del Rey Toyota, and it was a listener that had been in there and bought a car. And it was interesting for a lot of reasons. First of all, the listener had learned from this show, which is gratifying. It also demonstrated very, very completely the pain and time consumed in having to buy a vehicle. Typically, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to buy a vehicle in an hour or two. I mean, this was, as he said, I believe, all told about 7 hours.
No, 11 hours.
11 hours, 11 hours, 11 hours. Hard to believe. 11 hours, and the game playing and the back and forth. Now, this particular caller, or I should say texter, that sent us this information was very sharp. Listened to the show, he was educated, and he was persistent. He had a strong, aggressive personality. And if you have all those attributes, it's okay. I think he actually enjoyed this process. It was like a test of his abilities. He won the test, he won the game, and he got himself a new car. But the average person out there does not want to go through this. And that is, Rick?
This guy sounded like an action hero from John Wick or something.
Exactly.
I mean, he just sounds like he's going in there with a shotgun in his hand and a rocket launcher strapped on his back.
He
got everything he wanted.
I agree, guys. I agree, because that's how I feel sometimes.
877-960-9960. Please call us. We have a lot of texts waiting, and that was one of them. You can text us at 772-497-6530. That's 772-497-6530. Calls, and we've been told to please repeat the number twice, so I'll do that. 877-960-9960.
Yeah, and then I'll give out the text number. But back to what we were just talking about. Boy, negotiating for me is like walking in with a hand grenade in my purse, and I'm just going to get what I want, and if I don't, I pull the pin. Anyway, I thought I'd share that with the audience. A little dramatic, but that's me. Listen, if you want to text us, 772-497-6530.
Very good. And you already told everybody about our $50.
I did, but I'll remind the ladies again. You're an important part of the show, and we do want to build a platform here, and we want to hear from the ladies. And I heard from quite a few of you this week, and I hope you keep your promise and give me a call. Give us a call at 877-960-9960 and win yourself $50. First 2 new lady callers.
No gimmicks, no loopholes, just cash. You call the show, you're a lady you haven't called before, you will win $50. We do that because in the earlier stages of the show, going back years, we'd have sometimes no female callers, sometimes only a few, and now we've got it up to about parity. We got about 50-50 thanks to Nancy's generous offer, and we just keep fueling that because we get a lot of very interesting different perspectives on life in a car dealership from our female callers. We got some post and text backing up here with Stu.
Oh, yeah, they're coming in. Let's see. I'll go to our anonymous feedback feed here, and that's you can give us questions anonymously on youranonymousfeedback.com. First one here, it says, question for Earl. I heard Toyota is going to do away with the spare tire on some Toyotas. Is this true? If so, which models?
I think they already have, and I think they will probably continue this. It seems to be a trend in the industry. Rick, do you know specifically which models?
Several, actually. As a matter of fact, the all-wheel drive Sienna for probably 10 years has not had a spare. Prius Prime and a couple of the other Prius models have done away with spares completely, or they've gone to what they call a flat spare that is a very tiny little space saver and a can of injectable Fix-A-Flat.
Okay,
basically.
we'll cover the rest of it.
We'll get back to that
caller.
topic in just a minute, but I want to give you that telephone number again, and that's 877-960-9960, and we're going to go to our first caller, and that is Linda from Hope Sound. Good morning, Linda.
Good morning. I would assume that this question might be for Rick.
Okay.
I recently took my 2016 HRV Honda in for an oil change and tire rotation. It has about 21,000 miles. During their routine check, they told me 3 different things that I need in addition to what they did. They said that it had failed on the battery test. It was low on the battery check. I've not experienced any difficulty, but that's what they said. They said I needed a new battery. They said I needed brake fluid change and an air cabin filter. And the cost of these 3 things combined was over $400.
Wow.
So I decided not to get it at that time and to ask this question of you folks.
Well, Linda, you've got a almost new car. It sounds like it's under new car warranty, 2016 with 21,000 miles on it. So I'm a little surprised that you're getting a $400 quote on a bill. I'm going to just say something quickly, and then Rick, the expert, address it. But I would definitely get a second opinion, if not from another Honda dealer, from a trusted independent mechanic.
Excuse me for interrupting you, but I want to let the folks know that are calling in that our lines are full right now. And Shep, we know you're holding, and please be patient. Thank you.
Okay, Rick, tell Linda about the specifics, the brakes.
Real quick with full lines, but folks, keep calling. The battery should be under a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty. So if you're less than 3 years old, 2016, you might be right on that border. But if you're concerned about that, I would stop in at a parts store like an AutoZone or a Pep Boys and ask them to double check that battery. It is very possible that the battery's getting old and starting to go bad. And the modern computerized testers are very good at predicting it.
I just like to tell you one thing, Rick. At 11,000 miles, they replaced the battery. They said it had tested weak.
Wow.
It was under warranty then, so they replaced it.
Okay. So I would definitely get a second opinion on that. Stop in at
Linda,
AutoZone.
Linda, you've got a battery. You have a battery warranty as well as a manufacturer warranty.
Well, it's usually 1 year. Yeah.
Well, it varies from make to make.
That's true, and they'll prorate it. But I would get a second opinion on that, and then if it shows that it's bad, go back to Honda and say, well, there should still be a warranty on this battery. As for the brake flush, no, that you shouldn't need that until something like 8 or 9 years.
Yeah, forget about it.
50, 60,000 miles.
And how about the cabin filter?
And that cabin filter, I'm saying 30,000 miles. Unless you have breathing issues, asthma, or something like that, then I'd recommend maybe replacing that filter a little more often.
And Linda, one thing you can do with a cabin filter is look at it, and if it is a white cabin filter, something they have the black ones, which are difficult. But if you have a white cabin filter, look at it, and if it's crystal white clean, forget about it. They're just trying to sell you something.
Yeah.
I see. I thank you very much. I do have one other thing to say. I went back to the dealership to talk to the service fellow because it didn't sound right to me about the battery. And I said to him, doesn't it seem odd to you? I have a brand new car. I don't drive tremendous miles, but at 11,000 you replaced it. And now at 21 you're telling me I need another battery? And he said it was because I take short trips and I don't give it time to regenerate or whatever.
Sounds like kind
He
of
said
a
that-
lame excuse to me. I know that a possibility.
That
but,
part is true,
yeah,
but
a lot of people take short trips, and to have to replace two
Yeah.
batteries while the car is still under warranty and under 21,000 miles is ridiculous.
Oh,
yeah.
oh, okay. All right. I thank you so very much.
Thank you, Linda.
Linda,
Great
thank
call.
you for calling, and give us a call again, 877-960-9960. Give us a call, any of your questions, and I want to say again, our lines are full, and we are going to go to Shep, who's been holding from Palm Beach Gardens. Good morning, Shep.
Good morning.
How can we help
I
you?
have a question. I have a paint problem. My paint is peeling off the roof of the car, and I want to know where I could have the car painted.
Where's Alan
That
when
would
we need
do
him?
a decent job.
Shep, what year car do you have, and what's the make and model?
I have a 2012 Nissan Altima.
Mm-hmm. What color paint is it?
I bought it certified from them, and they forgot to mention that year that they had a paint problem.
Mm-hmm. Shep,
So now I'm stuck with a car with 43,000 miles, okay?
mm-hmm.
And the sides of the car are beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just on the roof, and now it's starting on the hood and the trunk.
Shep, this is quite a ways out of warranty, even though you have low miles on it. The car's 7 years old.
Right.
Do you? How often do you wax the car?
It's waxed every time I wash it. They wax it. It's in pristine condition.
Yeah, I would say this: it's worth an effort, a try. I think your odds are slim, but I would go to the dealer, I would go to the manufacturer, and I would ask for.
I did.
Uh-huh.
I did, and they don't want nothing to do with it.
Yeah. Now, they're depending on the manufacturer, it's very difficult. It's out of warranty, and that's the end of the. Stu has a comment.
Well, I'm going to try and channel Alan Napier, who's our body paint expert. It's kind of what you get what you pay for. You can get a really inexpensive paint job just to make it look okay, probably for $200, $300 from like a Mako type of place. The more extensive you get to like do a full professional job where they remove all the seals, tape everything off. I mean, it could run you close to $1,000 just to do the roof of the car.
Might be cheaper to put a vinyl top on it. You remember vinyl tops?
Yeah,
Yes, I
the
do.
Palm Beach edition. That might cost you a few $100s. Yeah.
But I think Stu hit it on the head. You can get a cheap one, or you can get a really good one that costs you a lot of money. I go for the vinyl top. I think sometimes they look cool. I'm an old guy, and I used to like vinyl tops.
What kind of car is it again?
He's got a Nissan, 2012 Nissan.
Ultima.
Yeah.
That would look interesting.
Yeah. Shep, thank you very much for the call. Sorry we couldn't give you better news, but think about that vinyl top. You could probably get one put on for $200 or $300.
Yeah, I understand, but do you have any places to recommend?
I would say any of the national brand, Mako or some of the other national brands, would be trustworthy, but you want to be sure you get the complete price. They always they'll give you, it's like a dealer fee. They give you a price and they add this, this, and this. Get the complete out-the-door price on the paint job.
I'll text Alan and get a recommendation from somebody he knows that's inexpensive. And you're local, right? Are you here?
Well,
in
it doesn't have to be that inexpensive. You know, I'm going to keep the car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are you local, Shep?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to get a recommendation or two, and we'll read it on the air for a body shop that can give you an economical repainting of that roof.
Yeah, stay tuned. Listen.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no
Thank
problem.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go to Howard, who's been holding, and he is a regular caller. Thank you, Howard. And he's from Jupiter. Good morning.
Thank you for taking my call. It's always a pleasure talking to you people.
Thank you.
And I just want I want you to know that I'm in the Bronx, and it's very hot here. But the humidity is not as bad as Florida. That's, and it doesn't rain, and then sun comes out and rains. It's like steady. Either it's raining or the sun is out. So that's the only difference.
No boy.
Okay, just want to, I have a question about Takata airbags. I heard that they're now remanufacturing. They're coming. Is there news about the Takata airbags?
Well, I just know that a lot of manufacturers are still fighting it. I know that General Motors asked the NHTSA for a 2 or 3 year delay in recalling airbags. I do know that there's still a lot of manufacturers that don't have inflators available, and cars are driving around right now as we speak with people in the front seat endangered because there's no inflator available to fix the car. But this situation is getting worse and worse and worse. And if you stay tuned for the Mystery Shopping Report with CarMax, you'll know what I'm talking about. We have a serious situation there. And all I know is that the cut airbag problem is worse today than it ever was.
Okay, I have another question about brakes. As I told you last week, I had tires. I needed tires very badly. I put them on, and they told me I needed brakes. They pulled the wheel off. They showed it to me. I had a second opinion. I was told I don't need brakes. I have half the brakes left. And my question to you is there a way of telling, besides pulling the wheel off, are there sensors that make a noise so that when you hear this noise, you know that within 100 miles you have to get brakes? Rick, I think this question is for you.
Yeah.
There are little metal clips that go on the brake pads that are supposed to be positioned to where when the pads get very thin, they'll start to rub against the rotor and make a noise. However, they don't always work very well, and if the pads are wearing unevenly for some reason, one may not be close enough, and they can also damage the rotor a little bit. My recommendation is simply when they do a tire rotation, they should measure the brake pads, and when your brake pads are below 3 millimeter, it's time to start considering new brake pads, and if they're 1 millimeter or below, you definitely want to do it right then.
I love that idea. You rotate the tires every what?
Every 5,000 miles or 6 months.
So that way you're perfectly safe, and you get a brake check every 5,000 miles.
And at 3 millimeters, the average driver should still have at least one more service left on their brakes anyways, in case you need to budget for it.
Very good.
Okay, now another question pertaining to brakes. Should the rotors be cut? Let us say you need brakes, but the rotors were pristine, no problem. You run your finger over the rotor, there are no scratches. Do you have to cut the rotors when you put the pads in?
You don't actually have to. We do recommend it so that the new pads will seat properly against the rotor and have a fresh surface to go against. It simply helps make the pads seat in better, last longer, and they won't less chance of making noise.
How much does it cost to cut the rotors?
Cutting the rotors is, for most places, about an additional $100 to $150. And it's a lot less expensive than replacing rotors with factory ones that can be quite expensive. But it's actually a good idea to cut them. But if you don't want to pay for it and you don't have any brake pulsations or problems like that, then you're perfectly fine to just have new pads slapped on.
Okay, thank you very much for taking my call, and I appreciate your knowledge, your expertise. Thank you, and have a good Saturday.
Thanks, Howard.
It was great hearing from you, Howard. Stay in that air conditioning. Give us a call next week. We're going to go to Frank, who's giving us a call from West Palm Beach. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning. Good morning. I didn't catch the app to check for recalls. I have an iPhone, and I'd like to do that. Check the license plate.
Oh, yeah, Rick was talking about that a few minutes ago. What was that, Rick?
That app is on the in the Apple App Store. It's simply called Airbag Recall.
Airbag Recall.
And what you do is when you click on that app, it will actually use the camera on your phone. I'll hold this up in front of the camera. I don't know if you're seeing it online or not, but you can see where it's got a.
I see Earl there.
Yep.
Yes,
you kind of line the little square up on your license plate, and then when it reads that license plate, it will automatically check that VIN number to see if you have an open recall, because it runs your license plate and gets your VIN number, and then just boom.
That's pretty snazzy. That looks like the stuff we use at the dealership to appraise cars and scan vehicles.
It's quick, it's simple, and all you do is walk right up behind the car and just scan that license plate, and in a couple seconds, it tells you whether or not you have any open recalls.
Welcome to the 21st century. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, Frank's still on the phone.
Oh, Frank, do you have another question? You have another question?
Yeah, I have another question.
Okay.
I bought the RAV4 from you guys 3 months ago, March 1st, actually. I'm the guy that called and caused problems with not doing it through Costco right away.
Yeah, I remember.
But anyway, I never got to check it. When I push the hold button to hold the car still on a hill, is the brake light on?
I don't think so, but I'm going to ask Rick that. Frank's asking about the hold button, where you're not really in park, but you just push the button, the car stays still and won't roll. Are the brake lights on when you do that? I don't think so.
On some models it is, but some it is not. Most, I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I'm going to say
a problem.
I'm going to say no on all of them, and I'll differ with Rick.
Well, let's be safe. Be very careful, because you're not. The lights aren't lit up, so I guess the cars coming up behind you won't know. That's
on it. But if you're sitting on the hill, you most likely already have the cars behind you. They're already stopped, but you don't want your brake lights going off anyways, because the guy behind you thinks, I can creep forwards a little bit.
Okay.
And then bump.
I can tell you, I've never used that button.
Yeah, I don't use it. I tried to use it, but it's, when the light changes, what do I do? I got to step on the gas.
Yeah, I tried to explain what it was to my daughter, and I failed explaining to her, and she goes, well, I'm just not going to use it. I go, well, me neither.
And I never had gotten to ask anybody to stand behind the car, and I just thought of it now as I called you.
It's a good question, though.
Yes.
I'm going to find out about that.
Yeah.
I want to find.
Let's
I
follow
want
up
to know
next
that.
week. Yeah, let's follow up.
Yep.
Well, I have a new RAV4. Maybe maybe they do, maybe they don't. I should tell somebody to stand behind my car.
Well, be careful.
Well, as a matter of fact, my wife's driving a 19 RAV4, 2019, so I'm going to check that when I get home. We're going to find out for sure on that one.
Frank, thank you very much. Do you have any other questions?
No, that's it. Thank you for your show again.
Well, please call again next week. You're a great caller. We appreciate it. 877-960-9960. And I'll repeat it for the people that like to hear it twice. 877-960-9960 in the text.
Yes.
772-497-6530. And yes means we have a whole bunch of texts.
Yes.
Yeah. But before Stu gets started on his text, I have one, and it's from Roberta, and I promised her that I would ask this question on the air. Is it better to hand wax your car? And how long will a hand wax last in Florida during the summer? And she keeps her car outside.
I'm going to say yes, a hand wax is the best way, especially if you're having it done by a professional that's got good quality equipment, because they're going to make sure the towels they're using are very clean, don't have any debris or sand in there that might hurt the finish. And for how long it lasts, most cases, let's say 4 to 6 months, and I judge it by whether or not the water still beads up when you get wet. If you run through a rainstorm and the water still beads up into those nice little puddles, it's still in pretty good shape. But about every 6 months, I would put a new coat of wax on there, especially in Florida with this sun. It's just going to eat that paint otherwise.
Yeah, especially keeping it outside. I love that beading effect.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, it gives you an idea. Stu, you have texts.
Yeah, we have a few more that came in on youranonymousfeedback.com. First one says, Dear Earl, Nancy, and team, forgive me for not waking up at 6 a.m. to call in out here in Los Angeles. During my car buying experience in 2017 for a Toyota Corolla L, I used TrueCar and Car Gurus to set my target price at $15,000 before tax and tag. I was in touch with 20 dealers via email, narrowed it down to about 5.
My hero.
Some of the Earl's just drool. He's salivating over there. Some of the remaining dealers sent me messages that, quote, these prices can change weekly, and that, quote, there are certain incentives and discounts you may or may not qualify for. In the end, I ended up buying from a gentleman who offered me a $15,400 price with no mention of incentives or disqualifying discounts. He did inform me that there was a $1,000 rebate on the 2017 model, from which your show is, what I understand, as a manufacturer's discount that must be applied. What I'm basically getting at is this. When these salespeople tell you that there are certain incentives or discounts other than rebates, should people just ignore them? With the help of your show, I got my car for $15,400 with a 1.9% interest rate.
Wow.
The transaction was smooth and fast, and I left the dealership a positive review. Thank you. And that's from Britt in Los Angeles, California.
Well, Brett, thank you very much. And just a message to all you listeners out there. Online makes it easy to shop an infinite number of dealers. He shopped 20 dealers. That sounds like a whole lot. But you could do that in an hour and a half online or less. And you're not going to get answers from everybody that you go out to, but competition is your best tool to get a good price. And when you do 20 dealerships online, you are going to get a great price. And he did. Congratulations, and thank you for the text.
Yeah, thanks, Britt. We have another anonymous one. This is anonymous, of course, even though Britt identified himself. Hi, Earl. The info you put out on your radio show and website is really good, but hardly anyone knows about it. Have you ever thought about putting an advertisement on a billboard on the side of I-95 in Broward or Dade County that directs people to your channel and website? Wow.
Well, that's a great idea. One of our problems, and I guess that we could ask Rudy or some of the executives here at the radio station, our signal, radio signal per se, doesn't penetrate real well to Dade County. It's kind of marginal in Broward County. Of course, we stream, and we also have online. But that's an interesting question. One of these days, we need to get a count, if possible, to see how many people we're reaching on the Internet. And if we had a sizable audience, or maybe the way to jumpstart it is to put the billboard up. We'd love to go to Dade and Broward because the population is so high down there, but we're going to investigate that. I like the idea.
And the behavior is so bad.
Oh, it's Dodge City. It's just like, I'm Matt Dillon going into Dodge City.
It's the OK Corral.
Yeah. There'd be so many people to save. It'd be unbelievable.
Exactly.
You know, speaking of the signal, it was the day before yesterday that somebody called me from Port St. Lucie, and they said that they tune in at 8 o'clock, but they're in their car, they're on their way to work, and they're on Port St. Lucie Boulevard, and they lose the show.
Yeah, that's radio. I mean, online is the wave of the future, and if you could do it online, if you just go to stream EarlOnCars.com, you can stream it directly from the radio show, www.streamearloncars.com. That way you're streaming on the internet. As long as you have a good Comcast or AT&T or whatever you're using, Wi-Fi, as long as you've got a good strong signal, you can listen to it anywhere in the world. So streamearloncars.com, but radio is radio, and you get thunderstorms on AM, and the signals come in and out. We got some more text over here.
On YouTube from David. He says, good morning, Mr. Stewart. My name is Davide, from Orlando, and today is my birthday. Happy birthday, David. Can you explain about taxes, how much, and if the local taxes count as well on a sale in a new car?
Taxes in Florida are 6%, but counties have supplemental taxes, and they can go up to what, another 1%, Stu? 0.5%, 1%?
In Palm Beach County, it's an extra 1%, but it's limited to the first $5,000.
First $5,000,
so it's basically $50 on most car sales.
Yeah, the thing you want to be sure of is anything you pay to the government, there's no way you're going to get out of that. So just verify it is a government fee, and if it's a county tax plus a state tax, you're not going to get out of that. Dealers must charge that, or they go to the slammer.
That's right.
And actually, some dealers have gone to the slammer because they did charge you that, and they stuck it in their pocket, and they didn't send it into
That's what I
Tallahassee.
was going to say. The state doesn't care if you charge it; they just want to get paid.
They want to get paid, exactly.
I have an answer, by the way. Shep called in a while back, and he had a problem with delamination. In other words, peeling paint on the roof of his 2012 Altima, and we said we'd find a reputable place to go. So Alan Napier let me know that Dave's Auto Body on North Lake Boulevard. That's Dave's Auto Body on North Lake Boulevard. Shep, if you're listening, is trustworthy and low cost. So Alan recommends that. But he did say that he has a special Alan Napier radio show special for Shep, and Alan said he'll take care of it for $300 if it's just the roof.
Yeah. Well, we don't like to advertise. We're a consumer advocacy show.
Sure.
But we'll say Dave's Auto Body on North Lake Boulevard. And, you know, that's invaluable. We have insider information. As I say, full transparency, we are also car dealers, and we have a car dealership, and we had it for a long time. And we have our cars repaired and fixed. If we trade in an off-make car, we'll take it to somebody we trust, independent, or even a dealer sometime. What we should do, and I'm thinking out loud, Stu, take notes. We will do a web page, a link that will let people know where they can take their car, Nissan, Ford, Chevrolet, Cadillac, and they can go to a trustworthy independent or car dealership. And we're talking about recommended dealers from sales and leasing, the good dealer, bad dealer list. We need to have a good repair, bad repair list. We can forget the bad repair. We'll just have the good repair list. Because what we all would rather have our car fixed by a qualified, talented technician, preferably not a car dealer, because car dealers charge too much. And we will create such a list. Thank you for that text.
All right. Moving on, this is a text from Tyrone S., who had a job as a mystery shopper for 16 years. He says, first time texting you guys, and third time I've watched your show on YouTube. Question, it appears you guys seem to be focusing on Florida area. Do you guys ever go on the road, like to other cities, and do what you do?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, Tyrone. By the way, Tyrone, if you're interested in a job, we're always looking for additional mystery shoppers. And one of the problems we had, and I should have said this earlier, we had somebody earlier in the show text about a mystery shop he did at Edmore's Delray Toyota. And I have to say this in full disclosure, that we don't know that texter, and we don't know that it was an accurate report. We know that our mystery shoppers are they're employed by us, they're vetted by us, and we know we have reliable reports.
Yeah, we caution them to the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Exactly.
They're reputable.
So we're staking our reputation
Yeah.
on their reports. When we get a call in or a text on a mystery shopping report, we have to give the disclosure. So retroactive disclosure to the gentleman that called in earlier.
Yeah.
We believe what you said about Edmore's Delray Toyota, but we have to say we don't know you,
Right.
and we cannot vouch for it.
Absolutely. Okay, we're going to Memphis, Tennessee, where we are going to be speaking to Reggie.
Home of
Good
Elvis.
morning, Reggie.
Hey, good morning, guys. I ran into a friend from high school. He sells cars now. I asked him about the bill of fees. His response was that the fees were used for overhang and also cars that they lose money on. He says that sometimes they get cars on the lot that they end up losing money on, especially on the used car side, that they can't sell. I don't know if it's true or not, but I did a little research and I found some articles. One was about GM back from 2016-17, and the article talked about the head of GM, Mary Barra, who she came in and she said GM would be more disciplined about discounts. They wouldn't give as many. So the article said GM had a bloated inventory of sedans, Malibus in particular. And the article said that at the end of the year, GM dumped a bunch of cars onto rental lots, and that drove the value down of the Malibus that people out there own. So just wanted to know what you thought about that, if there's any truthfulness to that or not.
Reggie, it's not true. It's a rationalization. The person that told it to you, he could think it's true. Sometimes car dealers will tell their salespeople stories, untrue stories, justifying the dealer fees. Dealer fees are profit to the dealer, and it's hidden profit. That's the bad part about it. If they put a dealer fee or anything else they want to call it, and they include it in the advertised price or the price they quoted you when you asked them how much is that particular car, there would be no harm to dealer fees. The harm in dealer fees is they are hidden. And then when you find them, if they do find them, and a lot of people never know they paid that extra profit to the dealer, but when they find them, they have to come up with a story. And a good story is they have to pay for some of them are even tongue-in-cheek. They say this pays some payments on the dealer's yacht, or this pays for the payments on the dealer's airplane, or this is a pension plan.
Ha 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 ha. So funny.
So they have rationale. The fact of the matter is, when you buy any product other than a car, the price that you see on the shelf or the salesman tells you is usually the price you pay. When you buy a car, there's extra hundreds or thousands of dollars that are hidden from you until you sign on the dotted line, until you write the check, or until you sign the installment sales contract to finance the car. You don't find out at all, or if you do find out, it's at the last minute and it's too late. But Reggie, anything they told you about the legitimacy and honesty of a dealer fee is probably not true. And the other stories they're telling you about why they price a car at a particular price, it's just a way to sell you the car. And I'm sorry that they try to mislead you that way, but that's the actual truth.
Gotcha.
Reggie, thanks for the call. Memphis, we love it when we reach out of the area, and
we need a map where we can just put a pin every time we get a call from a new state.
I was thinking that the other day. Yeah. And would you please spread the word in Memphis, Reggie? And we'd love to have some other folks listening from Memphis, and just let everybody know we'd love to hear from anybody about any problems or questions they have about cars.
I would love to visit Memphis.
Call again, Reggie.
Sure will. I sure will.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, give us a call toll-free at 877-960-9960. And remember, ladies, the first 2 new lady callers, you can win yourself $50 this morning. Join in the conversation. Help us here to build that platform. Speaking of building a platform, we have a young lady that gives us a call every week from Bonita Springs, and her name is Tina. Welcome to the show, Tina.
Down to Georgia, he was looking for a soul to steal. He was in a bind.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning,
I love
Tina.
that intro music. The devil goes down to the car dealership
There we go.
and wreaks havoc. That's my new tagline with y'all.
Watch out.
Yes. Both guns blazing. Anyway, I wanted to bring about something that's been happening here in Southwest Florida. Every day for the last week or two, there have been reports of car fires, and I think part of it is because of the really high temperatures. But, Rick, I was wondering if there's a way for auto owners to prevent themselves from getting into this mess in the first place, if it's a matter of maintenance or if it's just the luck of the draw.
That'd be tough to say without knowing what causes the fire. I mean, if it's a situation that the first thing I would suspect is people refueling their car and keeping the engine running so that the air conditioning stays cold. Now you've got an ignition source with a hot exhaust, and sparks can possibly be going while you've got live gasoline fumes moving around. Extremely dangerous. Always turn that engine off, and no smoking anywhere near those fuel pumps. And otherwise, if it's such things as oil leaking on the engine, most cases that's pretty unlikely to cause a fire issue. The only other thing I might suggest is if they're letting the car just sit and run to keep that air conditioning going, again, that can cause excessive heat buildup and possibly lead to a fire. But other than that, without knowing the exact cause of the fire itself, really hard to say what can be done to prevent it.
Yeah, these cars that have caught fire have been on the right-of-ways, like people driving down I-75, and all of a sudden they have to pull over because their vehicle's starting to smoke. So it's not necessarily the parked car situation where the engine is running, it's when the car is in motion.
Yeah, well, that could be just vehicles overheating, not well maintained, and having overheat problems.
I would check the makes, the brands, and models. I don't think it's a I don't think it's a problem among all vehicles. And when you do the Consumer Reports check on reliability, that's probably a factor. I mean, when cars will just spontaneously catch on fire along the side of the road, it's got to be a quality problem of some kind. And some cars have less quality. So just be very careful. Select something that's high on the Consumer Reports recommended list.
Yeah, and cars go up on fire so quickly. And if you're driving, there is the least little bit of a problem, you smell even the least little bit of something burning, pull over immediately, get as far away from your car as possible, and call 911. Don't mess around because time's not on your side.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I don't worry about that with Nancy in the car because she's got a nose like a bloodhound. She can smell anything. She could smell a problem in another car on the highway.
She can smell a burning car in Bonita Springs.
Exactly.
I definitely can. And I get out of the car even before you park it.
Exactly.
It's in drive, and I'm jumping out. Yeah. I love the thrill.
You live on the
edge. Tina, thanks for calling. I've got a little humor there. It's the truth, though. Have a great weekend.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tina.
And ladies, I can't do this by myself. Jump on the woman train. Let's make this happen.
There you go.
There you go. Choo choo. Okay.
Go wreak havoc, Tina.
We're going to go to Steve, who's been holding from Jupiter. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning.
Good
I got
morning.
a question for Rick. Reference check engine light.
Oh boy.
I have a 2002. I bought it new F-150 with a 4.2 V6. Runs terrific. Everything looks fine. I change the oil every 3,000 to 4,000 miles using synthetic. The tailpipe is clean. Check engine light came on. My buddy plugged in his little handheld computer, and it says that bank 1 is pending, running too lean. Bank 2 is stored, running too lean. But it doesn't say how to fix it. What would cause it to run too lean? And the second part of the question is, if I do nothing because the motor's running so good, am I doing any harm to the motor?
Good question.
First, the causes. There are two primary causes for that. The first one is you've either got an air leak or what's called a vacuum leak. You're getting too much air into the engine. Or the second cause is you're not getting enough fuel. You say the car's running pretty normal, so I'm going to bet that most likely somewhere around there, probably a vacuum hose, especially on a 17-year-old vehicle, one of the air hoses has got a little bit of a leak.
Answer is the most important question. If he does nothing, can he do damage to the vehicle? He says it runs like a top.
Yep. So most likely I would say it's probably just a small leak like that, and it's not going to be a breakdown issue. What you are going to see is a loss of fuel economy, very possible, and a little loss of power. But I don't think you've got a situation, especially with.
He says it runs great. So how's your fuel
codes.
economy and how is your power?
The motor runs fine. It's still got plenty of power, just like when it was new. I take care of the vehicle myself, change the oil, and do all the maintenance on it. And it's been a great truck. And I was just wanted to make sure that if I do nothing or can't find the problem, would there be harm to the motor? But I think you guys answered my question.
Steve, thanks for the call. I always believe, like the rule of the physicians, first do no harm. And if you feel good and you're sharp and everything's fine, you don't want to go to the doctor and ask him to give you an operation. Just keep on driving that truck and having a good time.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Steve.
You're quite welcome. 877-960-9960. Or you can text us at 772-497-6530. And don't forget, youranonymousfeedback.com. Real important. You can share your views right there.
Rick's got a couple of YouTube posts, I think.
Yep, we do. Let's see. The first one I have here, get back to this one, is from Ernesto. And he says, according to the owner's manual, coolant is first changed at 5 years and then every 2 years. Why is it 2 years after the first change instead of 5 years?
Good question.
Well, the primary cause for that is because the normal coolant renew that is done at most shops and dealerships is they simply drain the radiator and then refuel the system. This doesn't change all the coolant that's all the way through the rest of the hoses, the heater core, and in the engine. So what you're actually doing is changing about 1/3 of the coolant and diluting the rest of it. That's why after the 5-year situation, they say switch to every 2 years, and you're simply keeping it a little bit renewed each time.
Is that
makes
true
sense.
in all cars?
That's true for just about every car if you're doing just a simple drain and refill on the radiator, which is what most manufacturers recommend. Now, the other way you can do it, it's a more expensive procedure. You can have what's called a flush.
We don't want to do that.
Where the entire system is totally flushed out, drained, and refilled. It's a much more expensive thing, and it's not. It does make it to where you only have to do that every 5 years.
Stay away from flushes.
But you could actually do it just every 2 years
Except for
just
in the
by
bathroom.
doing a drain and refill.
Exactly. Okay.
Okay, you heard it from the recovering car dealer. Stay away from flushes.
Absolutely.
Except for the toilet. Okay. We have a shout out, by the way, from a listener in Las Vegas. Hey.
Hi, Melissa.
Hey, put $10 on red for me, will you? And then if I lose, I'll send you a check.
There we go. Okay. We also have one. This is from, we don't have a name on this, but text says University Mitsubishi in Davie, Florida, advertising sale prices, but in the super fine print, they advise that you have to finance through their preferred lender. Isn't that against the law? And they sent some pics of the fine print.
Yeah, the only time that there is legitimacy to tying the interest rate to the purchase price of a car is when the captive lender, Mitsubishi or Honda or General Motors, sometimes the lender will have a super strong low interest rate and they'll offer you an alternative with a cash rebate. So to get the advertised price, you have to go through the lender. Is that right, Stu? Because you get the rebate or either or?
Okay, there's, and I'm only speaking for Toyota for sure.
Yeah.
For example, they will offer a cash incentive. They'll call it dealer cash,
Yeah.
and say it's $1,500 or $2,000 that you would get off the price of the car off the price that you negotiate. By the way,
But do you still get the price off the car if you go to a different lender?
yes, you can use it with you can pay cash. You can go to your credit union. You can use any lender that you prefer.
So it's not legitimate that you should tie the advertised price of a car to using a particular lender.
Well, usually, like for Toyota, the advertised price for a car is actually it's higher if you use their lender because you get a special interest rate instead of the cash.
Exactly.
So it's kind of the opposite of that. Now Toyota does, and I think other car manufacturers do offer this. Occasionally, there'll be an additional rebate that comes with the financing with that lender. So I'll give you an example, and this is not an advertisement for Toyota. It's just because it's the only thing I know about. The 2019 Camry has a $2,000 cash incentive or special financing, but now they're offering an additional $500 even if you get the special financing. I know it sounds confusing. That's why you got to do a lot of research, but there are rebates that are associated with special financing, and you have to use their lender.
Well, I'm going to say this. You should not tie your purchase price of a car to the lender you use. The lender should be of your own choice. And it probably should be your credit union or your own bank, because when you're dealing with a car dealer's bank, chances are he's making a big fat finance reserve, $2,000 or $3,000.
But I will say that, like in the case of dealer cash, it's to your advantage to use your own lender for that reason, and you also get to use the cash incentive.
Exactly.
So if you get a really good rate,
use your own lender. Don't use the dealer's lender. Good rule of thumb.
Well, if you're getting 0%. On something like that, then that's something to look at.
If it is coming straight from the dealer's lender,
correct.
But nine times out of 10 it doesn't. Be very leery of the dealer's lender.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We have a text from Anne Marie, longtime listener and longtime texter.
Good morning, Anne Marie.
Good morning. Oh, this is a good one. Good morning. Last week he had a caller who suggested rubbing a cut potato on the windshield, and that would do as good a job as Rain-X. Now that it started raining regularly here in South Florida, inquiring minds would like to know, did anybody try it, and did it work? Rick is smiling.
Yes, I did. I sliced up a potato and I rubbed one half of my windshield, and then I did one side window. That way I would be able to compare left to right, to get an idea.
I'm going to interrupt you. Was it a Yukon? Was it a red potato? Or was it
Now,
a russet?
we're not going to turn this into a bagel discussion that takes 5 hours. So
which one was better?
Japanese sweet potato.
It was a nice big old Yukon Gold.
There you go.
And the reason I used such a large potato is because I kept having to cut off fresh slices. And folks, end of story. It worked a little bit, but it was messy. It was hard to get a good even coat without streaking it. I kept having to go back and wash the windows and reapply, trying to get just one nice coating.
Use Rain-X.
My opinion.
We have a caller.
Let's go to the caller.
We have a female caller, Susan, the first-time caller from Stewart. Susan, you just won yourself $50.
Oh, thank you.
You're quite welcome. You stay on the line after we're finished, and Rudy will take your information so I can get that check out to you.
Okay.
What can I do for you today?
Well, I have a question. I'm a 66-year-old woman, still flying as a flight attendant. I'm in the market to buy me a used. I'm really serious about the Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
Would like to know what they think about what model year would last me a good 10 to 15 years. Should I go? I've been looking at 2014. I thought maybe I ought to go up to a 2016 year model. Do you have any knowledge on either one of those or any other year in particular for Genesis?
Stu has a point.
Well, Susan, I don't know, and I'm guessing nobody in the studio knows, but the first thing I would do is go to Consumer Reports and check the used vehicles.
You just took the words right out of my mouth. That's what I was going to ask you, Susan.
Yeah.
If you had checked on any of the Consumer Reports, whether it be the recent one or the past, because they have a lot of information.
I have checked Consumer Reports, and they give the Genesis a very good rating.
Oh, there you go.
But the problem is you don't know how far back that rating goes, and it depends on which year you buy. But most recently, the Genesis has gotten some very good ratings. The Korean cars have really come up very strongly in their quality ratings, and I think a Genesis is a great car. You're comparing it to Lexus and some other real luxury cars, and for the price, it's a great buy.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at the 2016. It gets high user or owner recommendations, but mid-grade, like a mid-range, like in the yellow on reliability. But you can go through the years, and it gives you the same thing. You just choose 2015, looks the same. 2014, go there and find one that has good recommendations from reliability and owner satisfaction.
Have you started shopping, Susan?
No, well, I just went to the place, Wallace here in Stewart, and I just, that's the only place I really looked at. So.
Yeah, be sure you check the Carfax report, and be sure you have the Genesis checked by your independent mechanic. It's going to cost you a few dollars, but when you've agreed on a price and you're getting ready to sign on the dotted line or write out a check for your Genesis, insist that they allow you to take that to an independent mechanic. It might cost you $150 or $200. He'll go over the car thoroughly, but you need to do that with the Carfax report, and you also want to check that car for recalls, and that's easily done just by looking at the Carfax report, and you can also go to safercar.gov, SAFERCAR.gov. Be sure there's no safety recalls.
And also, Susan, don't get caught up in any fees.
Okay, yeah, I've been listening to you the last couple of weeks, so I know about those. I was just basically looking for a car that would last for a good 10 to 12 years, and that's my last car I'm going to buy. So I just thought maybe the Genesis was the way to go.
Excellent.
That's a good choice. That's a good value, and as I say, the Hyundai quality has come up considerably over the past 15 years.
Okay.
We'd love to hear back from you, Susan. Let us know how your car buying experience went.
Okay.
Thank you.
Stay on the line, Susan, and give Rudy your contact information, and we'll get that $50 out to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't heard Earl talking the last couple of weeks, probably last month, about his $100,000 dealer fee challenge, well, It's going to be a doozy. I'm sure that there's going to be a few people that are going to chime in and join the debate with them. And it's a debate resolution to make dealer fees illegal. And the recovering car dealer has something to say about that.
Well, I'm just kind of disappointed that nobody's even texted me, emailed me, had me use youranonymousfeedback.com. Car dealers in Florida, I challenge you. I want to debate you live on the air on this radio station, 8 to 10. We'll have rules of debate. You'll have your equal say. I'll have my equal say. And the proposition will be, should the dealer fee be made illegal in Florida? And if you have an opinion and you'd like to debate me, and you win the debate based on the votes of our listeners, you'll win $100,000 cash from me. And if I win, you'll pay me $100,000. We'll take the $100,000. We'll put it in escrow with an attorney of your choice or my choice or a mutual choice. Keep it in escrow so there's no shenanigans after the results of the vote come in. And I'm negotiable on the amount. If $100,000 is too little or too much, we can negotiate that. And even the format, we don't have to do it live on this stage. We can do it on another stage. Let's talk about it. And you don't have to disclose who you are. Just go to youranonymousfeedback.com, www.youranonymousfeedback.com. Say, Earl, I'm listening to this $100,000 challenge. I'm interested, but I want to make a few changes. Let's negotiate.
I know this is obvious, but the reason you haven't had any challenges is because it's indefensible.
Well, that's what I believe.
Right. I mean, no one's going to, if you put a $100,000 challenge to prove that murder is okay, no one's going to get on there and argue that.
That's a good example.
But I have to say that here I am, one person, and there's thousands and thousands of car dealers in Florida. Am I right and they're all wrong?
They all want you to just be quiet about it.
I know.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, if you if you didn't pick up the hometown news, you should. And if you can't find it, you can go to Earl on Cars. He recently wrote a column, and it's a question that I've asked myself over and over again. If car commercials were honest. Boy, I'll tell you what, that's a mouthful. Well, you can go to the Florida Weekly and you can read that column, and you can also read the column in the Hometown News, and that is on leasing. And I seem to have oh, here we go. Don't be trapped into leasing for the rest of your life. And if you haven't picked up, as I said, the Florida Weekly or the Hometown News, go to Earl on Cars and you can read those columns and so much more. We're going to go to John. He's a favorite caller.
He needs a theme song too.
A regular, yeah. We have to get him a theme song from Palm City.
We'll let John pick
I
it
think
up.
I know what would be very fitting. We'll discuss it after the show. Hi, John.
Good morning.
Morning.
Every week in the paper, you see under the legal notices, you see an auction. Usually it's a towing company, and it's put in 2 to 3 weeks ahead. It lists the car that they're going to auction off and the serial number. My opinion, my advice, never to buy one. First of all, if the cars were any good, somebody, employee or the towing company or outside person that they're in touch with would buy that car and fix them up. So when people usually read that, I wouldn't waste their time to go to these so-called towing companies that, put a lien on a car because the owners have never picked them up.
Sure.
That's the first thing I want to say. Actually, in general, I myself, who has followed the antique car auctions, would never buy a car. First of all, most of the classic car, by the way, today is Barrett Jackson, if you want to watch it on cable TV. I just watch it as entertainment. It's in Uncasville, Connecticut, and it's been held. This is the third day today. I think that the auctions are mostly for wealthy people. I mean, for instance, John Salupi, a local, bought that Supra Toyota for $2.3 million.
Yeah.
People forgetting something. Not only that, at the auction, the only guarantee that you get is the title. You don't drive the car. You don't really see, who the owner was or get the history of it. It's pig in the poke. It may look good, but it may not so good, underneath. And by the way, auctions in general, I would stay away from. The largest auction, which is the dealers go through, and it's for dealers, is the Mannheim.
Yep.
And years ago, I met the owner, the man, that founder of it, Paul Stern, a very honest, integrity man. I mean, unbelievable. He had a Chrysler dealership in Mannheim, Pennsylvania, and people came to him because of his honesty and sincerity, and he just had a great reputation. And he was the actual founder of the Mannheim Auto Auction. His name was Paul Stern, passed away, and he had a collection of old Chrysler cars. But my point is, in general, auctions are bad news for automobiles, and it's a risk that people take, and unless they have a lot of money. By the way, I guess some people, maybe I'm not going to knock them salupy, but if somebody wants to collect a car and they want a Supra, 93 to 97, Toyota made a Supra Turbo. It was one of the fastest street legal cars at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Rick will probably remember the car. It cost roughly about $40,000 new. You can still get a new one today. A top-notch one is worth like $25,000, and it's from 93 to 97. It was a six-cylinder, turbocharged Supra.
John, did you know
a real good buy.
John,
if anybody ever run across one,
did you know we had one?
something that could, some people can afford, and it's around $25,000 for a mint one.
Thank you, John.
Hey, John, we've got one.
You do?
We have one at the dealership. It's bright red.
Yeah, we just bought one actually a couple of months ago. It's pretty nice.
Well, they're fast. Did you drive it?
I'm too scared.
They won't let me.
Well, it really was unbelievable at the time. It would beat most cars on the road with this turbo six-cylinder engine. And I just mentioned that because, some people, the worst thing that anybody could do is to buy a first model or a last model of a car. In 2002, when the T-Bird came out, the new model, and the Camaro, people went crazy. On the T-Bird, there was a dealer here in Treasure Coast that was getting as much as, not illegal, but to get $10,000 above the list. And what really happened to the car? It sank.
Yeah.
The value, everybody was nuts. They said, like the 55 Thunderbird, we're going to collect it, we'll put it away, and this and that. It was all nonsense. And probably the best example that I saw here in Florida was 1976, when Cadillac announced the last full-size Cadillac Eldorado, okay? Hoyle Cadillac, which was in Delray Beach, was buying every one that he could find and paying as much as dealer. He's a Cadillac dealer. He paid the window list and above, and he stacked up on them. I have no idea what he finally did with them, but the bottom fell out because Cadillac swore it's the last convertible, not Eldorado, but the last convertible, and everybody went crazy. They built 14,000 of them, and guess what? General Motors got sued. 7 years later, Cadillac came out with a factory convertible.
Good advice, John. Good advice.
He sold them all to John Staluppi.
Yeah.
We love hearing from you, John.
Thanks very much for the call, John. And please call again next week. You are arguably, I think, in a tie with Tina for our best caller.
And our longest caller.
Our longest
for
caller.
sure.
And John is definitely the longest caller. We're going to get you some theme music, John, if you're still listening.
Think about your song, and we'll do it for you. But by the way, John is actually his advice
I
is
spoke to
absolutely
Rudy already.
All right.
All right, you have a good day. Look forward to the shopping report.
Thanks,
thank
John.
you so much.
Yeah, he's right on the auctions. I think the danger most is the dealers, but when a dealer has a problem with the car, where does it go? It goes to the auction. Now, it's better now with condition reports and there's some recourse, but if dealers don't want to use that, if they are purposely buying cars that are in not tip-top shape to sell it for cheap, then you got to really do your due diligence. But you're absolutely right. Auction can be dangerous, and it can be a good thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't pick up the Consumer Report for August 2019, you should. I'll tell you what, there is a whole lot of information in this report on headlights. You know, there's not really a lot of talk about headlights, but they're so important, and they've come a long way. Wait till you read that article. And also nitrogen, that old topic. There's a whole lot to say on that. And then they discuss the advanced driver assistance systems and how they can help you. So that's the August 2019 Consumer Report.
Okay, we got some more text, don't we?
We do. Let's see here. We have, this is from Robbie, who's a longtime listener and texter. It says, good morning. Why is there such a big difference in manufacturer car warranties? For example, Toyota and Honda are 3 years, 36,000 miles. BMW, Lexus, and Mercedes are 4 years, 50,000 miles. Kia is a whopping 10-year, 100,000 miles. You would think Toyota would offer a better warranty since they're probably the best built car on the road for the dollar. Thank you. This is from Robbie and Stuart.
Robbie, that's a question I've wrestled with for years and years, and I've always said exactly what you said. Why don't the really good manufacturers put longer warranties? And you'd think that the manufacturers of lesser quality vehicles would have shorter warranties. Actually, it's almost the opposite.
Yeah.
Oftentimes when cars come out and they're having problems selling them, you remember the Yugo? Yugo lasted only a couple of years in this country. It was just a piece of junk.
And it had a 1,000,000-mile warranty.
And it had a 5-year, 50,000-mile bumper-to-bumper warranty.
Yeah. And they never made it to 50,000 miles.
They couldn't sell it any other way without the warranty. And some of the good quality cars, you mentioned Toyota, they have a 3-year 36. I'm a Toyota dealer, and I argue with Toyota all the time. You got a great car. Why don't you brag about it? Why don't you give them a long warranty? And they don't do it because they don't have to. Stu?
I have a theory. I think it has to do with perceived cost of repairs, hence the Lexus and BMW's longer warranty, and then also a perception of reliability, because I know, like during the recession, I think Hyundai and Kia came out with a 100,000-mile warranty. It was an added thing of peace of mind because the reputation is they didn't have the quality. Yeah, well, they've improved the quality, but the warranty stays the same.
Warranty is a huge expense, and as cars get higher and higher quality, I think you will see the warranties creep up a little bit. When the cars become virtually 100% reliable, never be 100%, but virtually, then you're going to have some extremely long warranties. But right now, the warranties make no sense. There are cars out there on the road with real long warranties that don't have high quality, and vice versa.
Okay, the next one, this is a text. It says, hey guys, is there a way to tell if your vehicle has a Takata airbag in it? And when I first read it, I thought they asked, is there a way to tell if there's a recall? And the answer is yes. You just run your vehicle identification number through safercar.gov. It'll let you know. But the question is, how can you tell if your car has a Takata airbag in it? Now, Rick might know the answer to this. My answer is you can still go to the NHTSA website, and they have this thing called Recall Spotlight. And you can put your year, make, model in, and it will tell you if your car is potentially affected by the Takata airbag recall. Now, I don't know if that means it's telling you it's got a safe Takata airbag in there or what, but I'll leave it to Rick to answer the more technical question. Do you have to take apart the steering column to see it?
You would have to disassemble the steering wheel where the driver's airbag is and the dash where the passenger airbag is. Now, the problem is that Takata airbag recalls are still in the planning stages and coming out for more cars. They have not all been announced yet, and unless you're a Takata executive or someone in the know of, just how many more of those airbags are going to have to be recalled as the future comes, there's no way for us to know whether your airbag will potentially become on that list.
Takata no longer exists, by the way. They're bankrupt, and another company absorbed them and changed the name.
Yeah.
And so you